Hello and welcome to Caffeine Entertainment. I'm your host, Mental9R, and this is GMX Podcast episode number 6. You know what? I don't know if it's just going to be part 1 or if it's going to just be the whole episode. We've got a few topics. We're going to try to get through them pretty quick. And as always, I'm joined by my good buddy, F1nTinTin, and I will bring Finn onto the show now as I stumble over my words. And here we are. Finn, welcome to the show.
Where are you bringing me? You're bringing me on stuff? On what?
Bringing you onto the show.
Okay.
There you go. But stumbling over my words trying to get through this. But good times. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm
doing okay too. Yeah.
I see you got the Order 1886 behind you.
I do. Well, that's our backlogs and replay. Actually, how you doing on that game? I'm about halfway through, I think, something like that.
I haven't gotten that far into it, I'll be honest. I was still playing a bit of Life is Strange. However, I gotta say, I don't want to give too much away before our conversation next week, but I'm pleasantly surprised at how well it's holding up. I gotta say that for a game that's 10 years old, I'm like, geez, it's actually looking better than I thought.
It's pretty good, eh?
Yeah.
No, it's funny, and again, I don't want to get too into it, but got a lot of hate, and after even though this is my second playthrough, it's got me wondering why.
I do remember the length of the game being a big problem for AAA titles. People were expecting, a bigger game, but as you said yourself, that's not always the best thing either. I know whether it's me in FIFA or you on Destiny or me on Fallout or you on what's the other one? That Fallout in medieval times, the Elder Scrolls, or is it not the Elder Scrolls? The sword and sorcery type one.
Oh, Outer Worlds? Are you thinking?
No, anyway, whatever it is, but it's not always the best thing to spend like half your life on a game either.
No, it's not. I find if a game gets too long, especially if it's got a lot of filler in it, I'm just waiting for it to be over. So
yeah, and that's not good, right? You don't want it to feel like a slog.
Oh, exactly. You don't, and I think that's the cue. We should probably get rolling here. I think we've got about 6 topics, so maybe we get through them all. The first 3 are all kind of somewhat linked together in many respects. So first up, we've got Microsoft is hiking the price of Xbox Game Pass. This kind of leaked out prior to email going out where people were told, hey, guess what? In Canada, your Game Pass Ultimate's going up by $4 a month. In the US, it was $3 a month. So I think it was like up to $20 in the US. We're going to be up to $26 in Canada. And that's honestly, I guess it depends on how much you use it. I still think it can be a good value to the right people. For me, it's starting to get very questionable if I'm actually paying monthly and paying full price. I've only played one game in Game Pass in its entirety this year. And, we're over halfway through the year now. So for me, I don't think it's great value. The other big news to go along with that is that the entry-level console edition of Game Pass will no longer get day-and-date games. Mm-hmm. So they're going to keep it grandfathered, as far as I understand it, for people that have had that tier, and it will stay at, with day and date. But if you cancel your subscription, when you come back, your only option is the $15 standard tier, and that does not include day and date games. And to me, that's really crappy, because the big advertising, selling feature, whatever you want to call it, for Game Pass was get day and date games. And they're effectively removing that from everything but the Ultimate tier. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like to paraphrase the good book, it's like the Microsoft that giveth and the Microsoft taketh away. It's pretty rough, actually. When we were applauding Microsoft not so long ago for their, for the season of games they have coming up on Game Pass over the next year. Like, we're like, oh my God, this is really a game changer in terms of how valuable Game Pass is going to be, and, really giving you back like a lot of value. You're kind of like pulling the old switcheroo on us, I feel, a little bit by building it up. Maybe, what's something that Microsoft has done a few times in the past, they've almost gotten like overconfident. They have a good moment, and then they just screw it up by doing something really dumb afterwards,
No kidding.
And like they built up all this goodwill after that big reveal of all the games coming up on Game Pass, and Sony was after their state of play was in disarray, and Microsoft could have just ridden that wave, but no, they have to shoot themselves in the foot by saying, "Oh, now we're going to put up the price and we're going to take away," like the whole. How many of those games came up like available day one on Game Pass? They didn't say like
a lot of them
on the upper tier of Game Pass or blah blah blah. They just said available on Game Pass. And now that's kind of no longer true for some people. So,
yeah,
I mean, for me, it's still probably good value, but I did find it very irritating. I'll be honest.
So, when I look at this from my perspective, Game Pass in Canada has now seen over a 50% price increase in just 1 year, because it was, last year it went up. And now it's going up again this year. So it's a 1 year span. It's gone from $17 in Canada to $26 in Canada.
That's pretty crazy.
And it is crazy, right? And when you look at it in a percentage hike, like, it's just $3, I'm talking US. It's only $3, man. If that's a deal breaker for you. Well, it's also was a couple bucks last year too. So now it's $5, and it was actually a 33% price increase in the US. But, we get dinged the Canada tax with our weaker dollar, so it's a much bigger increase for us. And you look at that, and that's where it leaves the really sour taste in my mouth. Yes, it's probably still decent value overall for the right person. I just don't know that I'm that person anymore. Most of the games that I've been playing, I've bought on Steam. That's just the reality. And, I'm a bargain gamer, as you know, and as anyone that watches our videos would know. I always look for the sales, and I tend to play games that aren't just day one.
Yeah.
And, here, I'll give you an example. I tried playing Flintlock on PC, and it's terrible, to be honest. And it's in Game Pass day one. I got to play it for nothing, but I played 2 hours, and I just thought, I can't play it anymore.
Yeah,
it performs so bad, and the stutter's so bad. And I have a pretty high-end PC. It'd be tough to build anything any faster, and it just does not perform well. And that's why I tend to play older games, because by the time I play them, they're fixed. Now, the bright side for PC, Game Pass is only going up $2, and it's going to be $12 a month. And I'm looking at that thinking, like, if I was to keep Game Pass, like at this point, I'll say, like, I'm not planning on renewing my subscription when it ends. I think I'm still good for close to a year. But if I was to keep it going, it would just be the PC version. I won't be getting Ultimate anymore, because I don't use the cloud streaming really ever. So I don't have much of a need for Ultimate, because I almost never play on my console anymore. I'm pretty much exclusively playing games on PC. So that's what they've done to me. I would still be an Ultimate subscriber if it wasn't for these price increases. And, likely outcome is I'll just take that $26 a month and apply that to just buying older games.
Yeah.
That are fixed and work.
Those are all very valid points. And I think here's the thing for me. I think you're right. Like, it's good value for someone who wants to buy, who would otherwise, let me put it like that, who would otherwise buy a lot of new games, that isn't you or me, honestly. Like, we both tend to not be like in such a major rush. You're like, I'll get it when it's gone on price, or there's a Game of the Year edition or whatever that has all the DLC included. So that tends to be you and me. So for someone like you or me, who wouldn't be buying these games otherwise. It's like when you go to the store and there's something on sale. Well, it's not really a great price. If you had no intention of buying this product anyway, and now you end up buying it and you don't really need it, it ends up not being as good value. And one thing it definitely has done, though, is it was a no-brainer for me after that exhibition. No-brainer for me. I was going to be playing a lot of Game Pass. I love Game Pass. Game Pass is amazing. Look at all these Game One games. And now I'm like, do I want to renew it? Like just to play a few of these games? Like, yeah, a lot of them look good, and it's great that they all came out in day one. But I probably won't play all of them. I probably wasn't interested in all of them. It was great that they're all available if I wanted them, but realistically, there was a few of them I definitely wanted to have take a look-see, but that wasn't all of them. So what they've done to me, as I say, let's say a little bit less committed to getting all the latest games all the time, is that they have made me question a bit whether or not it's good value or not, which is a real dumb move in my mind from Microsoft.
Well, and it's like you said earlier, it does kind of break that goodwill. Like we watched this game showcase that was frankly outstanding, and day one in Game Pass, and then they do this. It's not a good look.
It's kind of a history of doing this, though, right? Like, I mean, I remember, and I'm not going to go back and dredge up examples, but I remember at a few launches, whenever Sony would fumble, Xbox they'd grab the ball and they'd be doing great for a month or a week or whatever, and then they would say, "Oh, now we're on top of the world. Now we can screw everyone," or do something really dumb that made all their goodwill just instantly dissipate. And they've done that now. They've done that. What is that, 2 months since that showcase? And now a lot of that goodwill has dissipated again. At least in my goodwill has, at least anyway.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be legible, but it kind of leads in. I mean, we're not the only ones that feel like this was a crappy move. The FTC has added this to their suit, I guess, against Microsoft, because that's still not necessarily completely settled from the ABK acquisition, but they've basically come out and what's the word I'm looking for? Condemned this move by Microsoft, and they've submitted a filing with the U.S. Court of Appeals stating that Microsoft's new Xbox Game Pass standard tier is a degraded product. And, I've thought a lot of their stuff in the past was just useless, waste of taxpayers' money, but this is one time I kind of hope they have a case here, because in essence, it is a degraded product that you're paying more money for if you're a console Game Pass subscriber. Now, I guess there is the fact that this does include Xbox Network access with this $15 a month, as far as I understand. So if you look at, I think it was $10 or $11 a month. What was it? $12 maybe for the console version of Game Pass? I can't remember. Plus your $5 a month. I guess it was $17 if you combined the two for, Xbox Network access. So in a way, it's a couple bucks less, but no day and date games. Yeah. So, and the other thing that bothers me, there hasn't been any mention as to when those games will actually come to Game Pass.
Yeah, that was
that standard version.
That was another thing that was troubling as well. It's one thing to say that you get them first, but so when do Ultimate? When do the rest of us get them? Do we get them? Do we get them at all? They need to clarify that as well. But
yeah, and it's kind of funny because I had said I don't know, 6 weeks ago or a couple months ago or whatever it was on the Bull Sitting podcast that one of the comments I made was that, here's what I think Microsoft should do. They should pull back on day and date, but bring in a new entry-level tier that's under $10 a month that would give you all their first-party games 6 months after they launch, and then have a mid-tier that gives them to you 3 months after they launch, and then only have day and date on their top tier. And they've kind of done that, other than the pricing's out of whack from what I thought they should do.
So it's your fault, basically.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I got a lot of hate for those comments on that podcast, I got to tell you. But I mean, from a business perspective, it makes sense. I think you would agree with that, make your top tier the one that gives you the most in terms of the product offering, and then have secondary tiers that are much more value orientated, that you still get that stuff, but it just takes a bit of time. And if you're willing to wait, which, someone like you and me, we would be, I would be perfectly fine paying $10 a month and not getting those games for 6 months, because frankly, that's when they actually work and they're fixed. And, you get all the proper performance modes and stuff. Anyway, that would keep me subscribed. But the way they've done it, I'm not really interested, other than maybe the PC version. And even at that, I would subscribe to it piecemeal. Like if there's a game I really want to see or play, I might subscribe for the month and play that game and then unsubscribe again.
Yeah. Yeah, that you made a lot of great points. I'm not going to go through and reiterate all of them again, but I agree with what you said. I agree with you, makes a lot of sense in terms of coming out with lower tier offers, but don't denigrate what you already have and the people you already have. Don't piss them off. Just create another lower tier for newer people who maybe that $20 or $17 or whatever is a little bit too rich for them. I think what you say makes a lot of sense, but anyway, as I say, I don't know what it is about Microsoft. Sony sometimes fumble for sure, but Microsoft just shoot themselves in the foot in my mind. And as I say,
I'm going to clip that part where you said what I said makes a lot of sense, by the way.
Okay.
I hope you don't mind. I'll do a YouTube short or something on it.
So,
I'm just kidding.
I think I must have said that at least once before.
Maybe once or twice.
In the 10 years or 15 years we've known each other. It's very disappointing. Is how I can summarize it. Very, very disappointing. A little bit of a switch and bait in my mind after they had advertised Game Pass and all these were available on Game Pass, and you and I were both blown away. Look, this is available on Game Pass, and this is good. It's like, but you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. It's like, whoa, this is so good. Now they've just put a little bit of a lemon into the honey, I guess. I don't know. It just soured it a little bit for me, and I'm very disappointed in them.
Yeah, it's irritating. And then, the next piece of good news and this is a little bit older, but it's just more fuel to the fire, and Microsoft could stop pushing Xbox consoles in Europe. This is another rumor-esque type thing that came out, and it all just kind of sits and makes you wonder, what is Microsoft doing? They're kind of becoming their own worst enemy in some respects, it seems. So, yeah, you're a little weak in Europe, but you look at it and you think, you're a $3 trillion company. You're telling me you don't have the chops to somehow gain back that market share. Where's the fight? And then that gets followed up with, we're not blessed with big marketing budgets. Xbox marketing guy says, for Europe, it just does make me shake my head and wonder, what are they doing? And what's the strategy? Is it because, this stuff is still outstanding with the FTC and they want to look weak? Or have they really just thrown in the towel and they literally don't care? And they're just going to be purely software, and they're going to exit the hardware business altogether. And I can see why they would do it. There's not big money in hardware, but it's hard to imagine an Xbox brand being successful without hardware. So we've talked about this one before, but this is just, go for it.
We've gone through this a number of times. Number one, if anyone is going to struggle to play the "look at us, we have no money" card, it's going to be Microsoft. I mean, who would believe that, right? Who would believe that? Like,
Yeah.
if you want
And is
to,
it that they don't have, like, I think in the comments here, the guy said, like, they really have to work hard to get any money to spend. And frankly, Sony just outspends us. It says that somewhere in here.
it's hard to even credit
Oh,
that with a comment. Like, Sony, who, like, this is basically, I don't know what the percentage is, but a huge portion of their revenue every year. And yeah, and I mean, I guess the difference is that they sink or fly based on how well Sony PlayStation does and Microsoft don't. But nonetheless, for them to stick to somehow even suggest that poverty is an excuse is laughable. Quite honestly, they should be ashamed of themselves. But
yeah. No, I mean, like, just looking at that paragraph right there. Flat laminated that PlayStation, regrettably, outspends Xbox in Europe when it comes to marketing. They're blessed with marketing funds that we're just not able to enjoy. But that's totally fine, Flat continues. We adopt what I would call a more fiscally responsible approach to media investments that doesn't sell the product. Like, is that the right way? Like, you and I both know, right? You look into a market where there's an incumbent. What does that mean to you? Opportunity. Because there's always a percentage of people that hate the incumbent or that are angry about the market leader, and those are ripe for picking. And you go in and you market the hell out of your product. Like, imagine this, you're on billboards or like and stuff. You see highlights of that wonderful showcase of games, and then it says only on Xbox, and they come day one to Xbox Game Pass, and there's the big Series X and Series S advertisement with a sale price at wherever you can get it. And this is all over everywhere in Europe. You think, gamers aren't going to go, oh, holy crap, Xbox. Wow, they got some really cool looking stuff.
yeah, I mean, you
I
think
don't know.
after that, after all those exclusive, or not exclusives, but all those game one on Game Pass, you would think now would be the time to double down and say, have a discounted, as you say, a discounted layer, number one. But even for the main tier, have some type of, like, sign up for 2 years and get a crazy offer or whatever, like, and just get their hooks into people, like, people who are on the fence,
Yeah.
get their hooks onto people. But no, they went the opposite direction, and they'll say, well, maybe we can screw people over for more dollars. But as I say, the idea that the guy is from Microsoft is complaining of poverty is simply like, it doesn't pass the smell test, quite honestly. What it says
It's
potentially,
embarrassing.
what it says more than, like, we don't have any money, is that we as an organization have decided that console sales are not our priority. We're going to focus more on spending trillions of dollars on acquiring companies and not on budgeting or a marketing budget for selling hardware. That's what it says to me. Which
Yeah.
is, if they come out and say that, that's fine. But I think it more and more. We've said this many times. Again, I can probably bore people by reiterating it, but I just feel like they're not committed to the hardware market. They're not committed to the console market. They're committing to the games market, but they're not really necessarily that interested in selling consoles. That's what it says to
Yeah.
me. And everything they do, everything they said doesn't say that, but everything they do says that.
Exactly. Actions speak louder than words. And it's disappointing because, not that I'm just this huge Xbox fanboy. I mean, I do like Xbox. It's been my brand for years, but I like PlayStation too. I just want to see competition. And if Xbox exits the hardware market, we've said this a million times, I just don't think it's going to be good for the console market. And, I don't think they are going to exit. I do think they'll have another console, but will it sell enough for there to be another one after that? Or for them to really support it well? Or for third-party developers to support the hardware that isn't selling? I mean, we're already seeing a bit of those impacts where there's games that are launching later on Xbox than they are on PlayStation, or not at all, because they don't think the ROI will be good enough. And that's a scary thing for Xbox and Xbox fans that want decent hardware and that want to have a console that's well supported. But anyway,
I was going to say, I think more likely than having a new console. We could both be completely off base here. We don't like this move. We don't like. I agree with. I didn't mention it at the time, but I agree with FTC's position. They are denigrating the product ultimately. Like, there's no. You can't say that they're not. They're charging more and giving less. That's by definition they're reducing the quality of the product in a sense.
It's degraded.
Yeah, but I in terms of the consoles, my expectation, I don't know this for sure, obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring around more variations on the theme of Xbox Series X or whatever, but perhaps there's not going to be a Series Z or whatever the hell they would call it. Like, I think this could be it, other than more, let's say, small updates, making it a slim version, making a slightly faster version, slightly less power intensive version. I don't know. Like, I think PlayStation are going to have a PlayStation 6. I don't know that Xbox are going to have an Xbox whatever else,
Yeah. No, it's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, and then you look at the next thing we're going to cover. I'm checking the time here. We're at 26 minutes. Do you want to? I think we just try and push through, and we'll do this in one show. We'll probably run a little longer, maybe 45 minutes in total. But I think because of the way these all kind of link together, with just Xbox after a wave of good news kind of flowing into not so great news. We've also got this Microsoft advertising that they're coming to GeForce Now sooner than later. And, I mean, this is something, it's not a surprise. We knew this would happen. It was part of the ABK deal. They did sign a 10-year deal with NVIDIA to offer their games on their cloud service. And, hey, the more ways you get to play, I guess the better it is. It's just another choice. And NVIDIA, I think generally speaking, by all regards and everything I've heard and read, they do have the best cloud streaming platform. I've only tried it very briefly. I did sign up for an account. I haven't played it much, but I am going to go back and maybe try and use it a little bit more, just like with the Fire Stick thing. And maybe we'll talk about that in the next show that we do and our experience there. It is, you can get a free account and it'll just use your Steam titles, but it just again adds to that fuel to the fire that they're just moving away from hardware and really focusing on cloud and other avenues to play their games. And again, this one was expected, so it's not a surprise. But
certainly moving away from hardware exclusivity, that's for sure. That's across the board for them. The fact that let's see, what do we have? Like, number one, obviously Game Pass for PC is also a big deal. Like, it's not just Xbox, number one. Number two, they're bringing out more and more of what you would have considered to be exclusive titles onto other environments. Number three, like what they're saying about the lack of marketing dollars, they generally like the lack of console sales, and like almost like that they don't seem to care that much in a way. It all just points to, again, we've said it like a million times. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but they're not that interested in selling consoles. That's just what it says. And I agree with you. Like, I've owned every Xbox iteration. I think I've mentioned on a previous show, like since it came out. And I would be sad for them not to be there, because I think you're right. Like, it gives competition, right? Like, you need competition. Otherwise, Sony has got it all for themselves, pretty much. I mean, there's obviously Nintendo as well, but they're kind of a different market, I guess. But it would be sad if they didn't do that. But I don't know. Like with mini PCs, and I know you've talked about this before as well. Like, maybe that's more the direction you're saying. We don't need to have a dedicated games console. I think even maybe in the future, they're not ready to do it yet. Maybe Sony will also start thinking around the same lines, but I find it's harder to see them doing it because so much of what they do is wrapped up in PlayStation. and the hardware, etc. But yeah, Xbox, I think, or Microsoft, more accurately than Xbox, just don't seem to be interested in this business, is what I see.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Well, let's move on to the next one. And this one is, it made me laugh when I first saw this hitting Twitter. I'll be honest. And the job listing, you can read the headline. A coalition job listing seems to suggest Gears of War E-Day will have a PlayStation release in its future. I thought that, again, this is a little older news. It's from July 16th. It's 10 days ago, but it was after our last show, so we never got a chance to cover it. And I mean, this is the piece here. Spotted by Insider Gaming, a role for a senior online client engineer that will be part of the Gears of War E-Day team is asking that applicants have experience with digital storefronts of various platforms, along with Xbox and Steam, and listing also asks applicants to have experience with PlayStation Store and PSN. So that's different, I think, and I did, now that I'm 2 weeks post this, but if I recall correctly, on LinkedIn, it more or less said either or. It wasn't, hey, you got to have experience with all of these things. And you and I both know that doesn't mean anything. I mean, we've worked together for many years, and we've had job postings where we'll just say, hey, if you've got experience in this like technology, we're interested in hearing from you too.
Yeah, an equivalent technology. I mean,
exactly.
In the real world, okay, so if you had a super hot tech who had shitloads of experience in PlayStation and really outdone himself in that, or herself in that organization, are you saying Microsoft wouldn't be interested? Why wouldn't they? Of course
they would.
Like, that would be stupid. That would just be really stupid. It's like saying if you worked for Apple, you wouldn't be interested in the best Microsoft engineers. Of course you would. Of course you would. You want the best people. And if you have people who have worked in your industry or worked in your area, they would be of interest to you. Now, at the same time, that doesn't mean that they're not going to sell stuff on PlayStation as well. I'm just saying, though, that you're putting 2 and 2 together. People who wrote this article, you're putting 2 and 2 together and getting 10. Like, that's not what it says to me. Potentially, it could still happen, but not on the basis of that a job posting that says, "Hey, we need a plumber. If you have any experience, we need someone who fixes toilets. If you have any experience in any type of plumbing, apply here." That could be a thing, It doesn't have to be toilets. It can also be other types of plumbing.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I don't know. Like I say, I got a kick out of it. Thought it would be, an interesting topic to just go over it quickly. But, I think we both agree, and we've talked about it before, that we're going to see more games probably hit PlayStation. Will Gears of War E-Day be there day one? I kind of doubt it, to be honest. Maybe I'll get proven wrong, but I suspect it'll get there maybe eventually. I just don't think it'll be there day one. We'll see. Okay. Time will tell. Much ado about nothing, in my opinion, and I think you'd agree with that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, why don't you let people know how they can reach you? I know this is your favorite part of the show.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I love the self-advertising. So, FinTinTin with the 1, as you see there on X, and FinTinTin with just FIN on both, Steam, Xbox, and on PlayStation.
Awesome. And I am at Mental9R on X and Steam, Mental9R. PlayStation, Xbox, Mental9R. Mental9R pretty much everywhere except for Caffeine Entertainment on YouTube and on Rumble. You can find us there too. If you are new and you managed to sit through this wonderful podcast, please bless us with a like and a follow. That would be greatly appreciated. And we are past 50 subscribers on YouTube. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little
50
surprised
subscribers.
By that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's big news, man. That's
Mr. Beast, you better watch out, buddy.
I mean, despite all your problems lately there, but Yeah, like we're coming for you, man. We're coming for you. 50 subscribers. We're on our way up. No, and in all seriousness, appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Mental 9R. This is Caffeine Entertainment, and it is time to wake up and play some games.